tonight's worst persons in the world. The bronze to comedian Rush Limbaugh, today saying the worst thing he could think of about the stimulus plan. $4.19 billion is going to Acorn, Obama's community organizing. Now, would somebody explain to me what in the name of Sam Hill $4.19 billion to a voter fraud organization has to do with stimulus? Well, nothing, because you have it completely wrong. The stimulus plan includes $4.19 billion for neighborhood stabilization activities related to emergency assistance for the redevelopment of abandoned and foreclosed homes, as authorized under Division B, Title III of the Housing and Economic Recovery Act of 2008. The funds aren't going to Acorn. They'll go out via competitive bids. Rush Limbaugh can bid for the money if he wants to, but he left that part out because either A, the concept was too complicated for him to understand, or B, he wanted to scare people with that bugaboo name Acorn, and he was crooked enough to deliberately leave out the part about the competitive bidding. The runner-up, Billow the Clown, Hamid Karzai, the president of Afghanistan, pleading with the U.S. to curtail civilian casualties during airstrikes there. A U.S. raid that killed 15 Taliban fighters may have killed 16 Afghan civilians. Secretary of Defense Gates agrees with President Karzai. He just said, I believe the civilian casualties are doing us enormous harm in Afghanistan, and we've got to do better in terms of avoiding casualties. Billow thinks Karzai and Gates are both full of it. The quote, U.S. and NATO forces in Afghanistan are risking their lives to protect the Afghan people from the Taliban and al-Qaeda, but President Karzai does not seem to get that. Karzai is making a political grandstand play, and it is insulting. Incredibly, O'Reilly did not demand that the dead Afghan civilians all rise from the grave to thank us for killing them. Bill, you are a sick man. But the winner, Bernard Goldberg, former journalist. He has written a book in which he claims the media, quote, jumped the shark and betrayed all of us this past year. Also says MSNBC, quote, cannot ever again be taken seriously as a news organization. An odd conclusion for a man who doctored a transcript to falsely accuse Tom Brokaw of bias in that book. Goldberg claims Charlie Rose asked Brokaw, what do we know about the heroes of Barack Obama? And Brokaw then answered, there's a lot about him we don't know. He presented the quotes that way as if those sentences had occurred consecutively. They did not. Goldberg, in one of the worst things anybody claiming to be a reporter can do, dismembered the actual interview to make the quotes fit his bias. In point of fact, Rose asked Brokaw a long question about Obama, including, what do you see there? Brokaw's lengthy response included this sentence. Sure, he has hit some speed bumps, and there are conservative commentators who say there is a lot about him we don't know. Much later in that interview, Rose asked Brokaw about heroes, the heroes of John McCain, and, quote, what do we know about the heroes of Barack Obama? Brokaw answered, Thurgood Marshall. Goldberg fraudulently, dishonestly, corruptly took part of one question from Rose and part of Brokaw's answer to a different question and married them together. It is journalistic malpractice, and it is the kind of thing that explains why Bernard Goldberg was fired by CBS News. He is the equivalent of a doctor who has had his license revoked. I would return that phrase, he jumped the shark, to apply to Mr. Goldberg, but that would imply he made it over to the other side in one piece. Bernard Goldberg of Fix News, today's worst person in the world.